A streak of navy blue flashed across London's Horse Guards parade, and in that instant the most choreographed event in the royal calendar tilted on its axis. 7-year-old Prince Louis, gap-toothed, grinning, utterly unstoppable, had just hijacked Trooping the Colour 2025, and there wasn't a guardsman alive who could march the spotlight back from him. No one was supposed to outshine the sovereign on his own birthday parade. Yet by the time the first trumpet call echoed down the mall on the 14th of June, whispers in the crowd were already shifting. "Did you see Louis?" Cameras followed the Ascot landau carrying Princess Catherine and her 3 children, but the youngest passenger refused to sit still for a royal close-up. Louis bounced against the caramel leather seat, saluting spectators with a windscreen wiper wave so enthusiastic it flapped his red tie over his shoulder. Somewhere behind them 200 cavalry horses clattered on cue, but the city's cheers belonged to a boy who still can't whistle properly. London served up perfect parade weather, blue sky, Union Jacks rippling like stage curtains, yet the real theatre unfolded inside the carriage. Louis leaned toward his brother, whispered a joke only siblings understand, then collapsed backwards in mock exhaustion, one arm draped dramatically across his forehead. Prince George, 11 and practicing his future king composure, tried to mask a snort behind gloved fingers. Didn't work. 2 beats later George's shoulders shook with laughter, and the crowd roared again. Could the next monarch really be giggling at his kid brother in front of the world? Absolutely, more on that in a moment. Princess Charlotte attempted diplomacy from the opposite seat, smoothing her blue and white dress and offering Louis a firm little nod that clearly meant behave. Louis answered with the kind of halo-innocent smile every mischievous youngest child has perfected since time began. Even the Ascot's footmen cracked smiles they'll deny in tomorrow's papers. Halfway down the mall the energy shifted. The young prince's eyes fixed on a familiar silhouette atop the Irish state coach, King Charles, raising a dignified hand to the masses. Louis copied his grandfather instantly, but bigger, faster, arms cartwheeling like a carnival barker. It was a royal salute reimagined by Looney Tunes, and for the second year running the #WaveKing exploded before the flypast had even left the runway. Inside the palace press office, staff braced for déjà vu. These are the same aides who clipped Louis's 2022 balcony ear covering and his 2023 Menu nose pinch into digestible social media gold. They know the calendar, trooping means ratings, and ratings mean Louis. What they didn't know was that this year's main event would arrive not on the balcony but inside the Duke of Wellington's old office overlooking Horse Guards parade, and it involved a blind cord. While soldiers formed perfect scarlet lines below, the Duchess of Edinburgh leaned down to explain regimental colours to her pint-sized companion. Louis listened attentively, or so Sophie thought, until his fingers found the window cord and began swirling it like a lasso. 1 twist, 2 twist, tighter, just enough to set the brass tassel clinking against the pane. Sophie paused her history lesson, lifted an eyebrow worthy of Downton Abbey, and, miracle of miracles, Louis stopped. For 10 seconds. Then he unleashed that grin again, equal parts apology and worth it. Another microhook for the highlight reel. Why does any of this matter beyond adorable TikTok fodder? Because the monarchy is in the middle of a charm offensive it can't afford to lose. Polling released days before the parade showed support for the royal family dipping below 60% among Britons under 30. Hard facts, soldiers and trumpets impress, but relatability converts. Enter Louis. When he playfully mirrors the king's wave, Gen Z doesn't see stiff protocol, they see a meme. And memes travel faster than state coaches. Back on the route, the carriage rolled beneath Admiralty Arch into a canyon of cheers. Louis's energy flicked from outward spectacle to quick sibling connection. He nudged George, pointed skyward, and mouthed, "Red arrows." Moments later 9 scarlet jets ripped overhead leaving blue-white-red smoke. Louis clapped so fiercely his cuff buttons rattled. Charlotte permitted herself a half-smile. After all, she was still the picture of poise in matching McQueen. But when the crescendo of engines finally faded, she nudged Louis back, a silent pact of shared wonder. Blink and you'd miss it and you'd lose the heart of the story. These are children juggling childhood and ceremony in real time. Then came the balcony, Act 3 in the annual Louis trilogy. The royal lineup stepped forward in Phillies formation, Charles and Camilla center stage, William and Catherine flanking, the Wales children just behind. Normally Louis lasts 45 seconds before improvisation. This year he doubled the record. He mirrored the king's steady hand, then spiced it with variations: upright chop, floppy fish, double helix twirl. George offered a discreet elbow, reminding him to cool it. Louis froze mid-twist, eyes huge, lips pursed, caught in the act but proud of it. Catherine, noting the hovering cameras, whispered one crisp syllable: stand. Louis clicked heels together so fast the veranda quivered. Cue collective parental nod across Britain. The boy might be unstoppable, but Mum is still in charge. That authority resurfaced during the minute's silence for the 241 victims of the Air India disaster. A hush swept the balcony. Louis, who seconds earlier had been testing the elasticity of royal patience, folded his hands and stared down them all, face solemn, brow furrowed with a sincerity far beyond 7 years. The shift was dramatic enough to trend separately: #Serious Louis. It reminded the world, and perhaps the palace, that mischief and maturity are two sides of the same future kingmaker. Compare that growth curve to his previous highlight reel. In 2022, he clamped ears against Jubilee jet engines. In 2023, he gagged theatrically at parade horse droppings, a clip Vogue called Monarchy meets Mr. Bean. Last year he choreographed a Highland jig atop Windsor's reviewing stand, kilt swirling while bagpipes wailed. Each incident felt spontaneous, and yet each built the legend. This year the legend found new gear, still hilarious, but now capable of hitting pause when duty calls. How long until PR advisors start calling it the Louis balance? Charlotte certainly noticed. Observers caught her tapping Louis's shoe after the silence, a coded "you nailed it." George, future Supreme Governor of the Church of England, relaxed his shoulders, a sure sign the eldest sibling approved. William, saluting from horseback in Welsh Guards regalia, allowed himself one parental glance upward as if counting blessings: 2 obedient heirs and 1 unstoppable wildcard, all aligned at last. Inside Buckingham Palace, aides exhaled. Another trooping survived, another crisis diverted. Yet outside, on pitiless social media, the debate had just begun. Is Louis too cheeky? Should protocol be stricter? Most replies leaned the other way: protect this child at all costs. One commentator summed it up: if royal events need relevance, let Louis write the script. That script already has lines penciled in. Autumn will bring state visits, and sources whisper Louis may appear at least once, ushering foreign dignitaries with the rest of the Wales trio. Courtiers are quietly workshopping tasks where a child's spontaneity reads as diplomacy: greeting kindergarten choirs, unveiling charity murals, maybe even a cameo at the Invictus Games Juniors. Question is, how do you harness Hurricane Louis without bottling the wind? Here's a clue: Sophie's patient tutorial with the parade program may have revealed the future training model. Blend gentle guidance with room for curiosity, let the child tug the blind cord once. Louis learns through play, the monarchy learns to embrace controlled disruption. Expect more such micromentorships: Camilla walking Charlotte through coronation orbs, and teaching George cavalry salutes, Sophie decoding line of march for Louis. Each pairing generates another narrative layer, another TikTok talking point, another reason the centuries-old institution still trends. Of course, no analysis is complete without touching the skeptic's question: is all this orchestrated? Insiders insist Louis is simply being himself, the palace only reacts. But even reaction is strategy when 50 million viewers are poised to screenshot. A tiny rebel with impeccable timing might be worth more to brand Windsor than 1,000 immaculate curtsies. That truth isn't lost on Charles, who smiled noticeably wider each time Louis stole the crowd. Perhaps the king recognizes a secret weapon when he sees one, especially when it's also his grandson. Which brings us to the ultimate hook: what happens when Louis realizes everyone is watching? Will the mischief scale up or taper off? The answer could chart the monarchy's relevance for decades. A prince who embodies playful authenticity while respecting solemn moments offers a blueprint for Royalty 3.0: 1 foot in tradition, 1 foot on the viral pedal. Until then, the Wave King reigns over highlight reels. The last thing London saw before the family retreated was Louis's tiny hand sliding dramatically across his forehead in a mock stage bow. Curtains closed, credits rolled, Trooping 2025 belonged to him. If moments like this keep you glued to royal coverage, you know what to do. Tap that subscribe button, give us a regal thumbs up, and ring the bell so you never miss a single eyebrow raise from the most entertaining prince in Britain. Big stories are brewing: state banquets, global tours, maybe even Louis's first speech, so stay tuned. The next wave could come any minute. Somewhere beyond the palace walls, a child is practicing his salute in front of a bedroom mirror, ready to turn ceremony into cinema all over again. Don't blink.